Wow, I'm late. I'm sorry. I was answering an email and I got all caught up. But anyway, I'm here. Hello. Happy Tuesday. Tuesdays are the days that Constance goes out on her bicycle with a mask and a shield and all of that stuff and gloves and she does what shopping she can do on the bicycle on Tuesdays. So I've got the door open and the house to myself. I can walk around and get stuff out of the refrigerator without permission. I, I can do, but she'll be back pretty soon, probably even before we're finished. Uh, well, let's jump right in it because I'm just a couple minutes late already. We are at the Raising Lazar book in the book Accidental Christ. The story of Jesus is told uh, by his uncle. And we're getting into the very interesting uh, section on what might have occurred to give rise to the story, to the legend of the raising of Lazar, or the raising of Lazarus. Uh, so, in a sense, we are uh, moving into the narrative, sort of split the initiation of Lazarus or Lazar, of raising him to the degree of perfect master, is taking place at Martha and Mary's home in Bethany. Jesus is back at his mother's estate in Cana, and he is to uh, carefully time his return visit to Bethany in time to publicly raise Lazar from the dead. Now his sisters and everybody in town thinks he's actually dead, and he's been interred uh, for 3 days uh, while under the influence of a very strong drug, which is part of the raising ceremony or the ritual of raising someone to perfect master. That being said, it starts off as all the little chapters start off with an epigram from the book of John, John 2, verses 18 and 19. Now Bethany was toward Jerusalem, a distance of about 2 miles, and many Jews kept coming to Martha and Mary to comfort their hearts concerning their brother. Are you the feet? No, I am not. When you have no feet, I am that which remains. Are you the legs? No, I am not. When you have no legs, I am that which remains. Are you the phallus? No, I am not. When you have no phallus, I am that which remains. Are you the hands? No, I am not. When you have no hands, I am that which remains. Are you the arms? No, I am not. When you have no arms, I'm that which remains. Are you the flesh? No, I am not. When you have no flesh, I am that which remains. Are you the bowels? No, I am not. When you have no bowels, I am that which remains. Are you the lungs? No, I am not. When you have no lungs, I am that which remains. Are you the heart? No, I am not. When you have no heart, I'm that which remains. Are you the spine? No, I am not. When you have no spine, I'm that which remains. Are you the brain? Uh, no, I am not. When you have no brain, I'm that which remains. Are you the blood, the bones, the sinews, the hair? No, I am not. When you cast no shadow, I'm that which remains. Lazar lay motionless on the floor of his chamber. He was unaware the day of his initiation had arrived. For nearly a week he lingered in perpetual trance, following the voice of Brother Apollonius, as it led him step by step through the progressive portals of the death meditation. At each threshold of consciousness, he was barred by a terrible vision, an aspect of deity in the form of an archetypal beast. During the final days of the meditation, Lazar memorized the name of each guardian and a divine word by which the specter could be dispelled. It was an old technique, far older than the Carmelite sect. The abbot once confided to Brother Apollonius that he believed the words of power were Egyptian and that the death meditation had been used in the Black Land for millennia to assure the eternal life of kings. Brother Apollonius was pleased with Lazar's progress. He had thoroughly mastered all the names and words, and for the last 3 days had journeyed flawlessly to the highest levels permissible before the great climax. Brother Matthias entered the darkened chamber and helped Lazar to sit up. Brother Apollonius elevated the silver bowl before Lazar's eyes and offered the customary prayer of thanksgiving. Supreme and terrible one, bless this food into our bodies, bestowing upon us pure and everlasting sustenance. He dipped a small silver spoon into the poisoned paste and held it before Lazar's lips. In your mouth be the essence of the light and of the darkness. Lazar repeated. In my mouth be the essence of the light and of the darkness. Lazar opened his mouth and received the sacrament. Brother Apollonius next elevated a tiny chalice. The wine would activate the venom, and the ordeal would begin. In your mouth be the essence of the great sea, the womb wherein all men are begotten, and wherein they shall rest. Lazar repeated. In my mouth be the essence of the great sea, the womb wherein all men are begotten, and wherein they shall rest. Lazar took the cup to his lips and swallowed. Instantly his chest was seized with a paralysis that spread like an icy fire to his extremities. He heard the cup fall to the floor, but was unable to move his eyes to see. He slumped forward into the arms of Brother Apollonius, who gently lowered the helpless body to the floor. Brother Matthias closed Lazar's gaping eyes, but it did not matter to Lazar. Eyes open or closed, his consciousness translated every sound, every word into a vivid internal display. Once Lazar was stabilized, the two perfect masters chanted the preliminary litany with great solemnity. Brother Apollonius started, and Matthias answered. He has no feet, he is that which remains. He has no legs, he is that which remains. He has no phallus, he is that which remains. He has no flesh, he is that which remains. He has no bowels, he is that which remains. He has no lungs, he is that which remains. He has no heart, he is that which remains. He has no spine, he is that which remains. He has no brain, he is that which remains. He has no blood, no bones, no hair. He is that which remains. Our brother casts no shadow. He is that which remains. He is that which remains. He is that which remains. Matthias and Brother Apollonius immediately set to work. There was much to be done. First, they carefully bathed the body in the lavatory and anointed it with oils and spices. Then they wrapped it in broadsheet strips of linen. Throughout the entire procedure, Brother Apollonius chanted the traditional funeral prayers. This was a new chore for him. On the mountain, the chants were performed by an unseen chorus of novitiates. When the body was wrapped, they proceeded to return the house to normal. They cleaned the lavatory, removed the window coverings and all vestiges of their makeshift temple. It then fell to Brother Apollonius to walk to Jerusalem and inform Martha and Mary that Lazarus was dead. Before he left Bethany, he went to the home of the Hassan and purchased a burial site in the community necropolis. As he expected, the fact that money was no object assured that a very suitable cave tomb was available for immediate occupancy. Things did not go as smoothly in Jerusalem. Martha and Mary were inconsolable. Mary pounded her fists on Brother Apollonius' chest and demanded to know how Jesus, the great healer, could abandon her brother as he lay dying. It was more than Brother Apollonius could bear. He told her an angel had been dispatched in her name to fetch Jesus and encourage her to be strong, but his words were of no comfort. Martha and Mary's cousins, however, were very excited to learn that the famous holy man of Galilee might soon appear in Bethany. They wasted no time sharing the news with their Jewish neighbors. By the time the sisters set out for Bethany, they were accompanied by a crowd of nearly 40. Lazarus made a convincing corpse. He was wrapped in linen strips that had been soaked in nard and other spices in the manner not unlike the burial rites of the Egyptians. He was laid on the bare wood platform of the bed in the master's sleep chamber. The windows of the room were covered, and the chamber was lit only by 3 lamps, 2 at the foot of the bed and 1 at the head. When Martha saw her brother so displayed, she whimpered like a little girl. Mary stood motionless at the foot of the bed and remained coldly silent, as if attuning to her brother's corpse. Matthias and Brother Apollonius made no attempt to interfere with their grief. Except for a few details, the procedure was now out of their hands. There would be no more coaching, no more guided meditations, no more chanting. The actual sounds of grieving would now be the only outside impressions to bombard Lazarus' consciousness. Martha and Mary did not observe the law, but in the eyes of their Jewish relatives and neighbors, the house would remain unclean until the body was removed and the rooms ritualistically cleansed. Shortly after sunrise, Brother Apollonius fetched the Hassan to supervise the final tasks and see to the interment. By noon, Lazar lay on a shallow shelf hewn in the wall of a small cave at the northernmost edge of the necropolis. Brother Apollonius managed to spread 2 wooden blankets upon the rough ledge before the body was placed. Lazar would appreciate this thoughtful act in the days that followed his resurrection. The entrance of the cave was unusually small and could have been sealed with a relatively small stone. The Hazan bewailed the fact that, due to the short notice, he was unable to have a small stone roughly hewn. He suggested to Brother Apollonius that if he wanted the tomb sealed immediately, he could purchase a much larger, more expensive stone that was already available. Brother Apollonius paid the Hassan his extra money and had the great stone rolled into place. Lazar would remain entombed for 3 days. Until Jesus appeared, there was nothing to do but wait. Early the next morning, the house was filled with strangers, posing as grieving well-wishers. Martha and Mary recognized only a small fraction of their guests, most of whom made little attempt to conceal the true nature of their interest in Lazar's home. What is he like, the holy man from Galilee? Was Lazar his disciple for long? I regret that I did not know your brother. Was he with the magician when the water turned to wine? I've heard he's a great healer. 'Tis a pity. Perhaps he could have healed the dear boy. Have you thought of that? So sad. I would very much like to meet this Jesus. I have heard he will be visiting you. Do you think he'll come today? Brother Matthias and Apollonius maintained a very low profile. The sisters did not introduce them to the other guests, nor did they reveal their relationship with Lazar. The following day saw even more visitors from Jerusalem. The neighborhood took on a surrealistic atmosphere of a festival, with scores of people loitering in the street in front of the sisters' house. By eavesdropping on their conversations, Brother Apollonius learned that many of them fully expected Jesus to appear and attempt to raise his friend from the dead. This must be Joseph of Ramtha's doing, he thought. Matthias pointed out a handful of agents of Caiaphas. They made no pretense of mourning, nor did they enter the house, but simply positioned themselves near the front threshold. Just before sunset, 2 men sped past the house as running angels. Jesus, the Davidian prince, is camped with his disciples by the Jordan near Bethabara. He will pass through Bethany in the morning. Word spread immediately. One of the guests of Caiaphas hurried back to Jerusalem to inform his master. Those who were preparing to go home at dusk instead settled down where they stood or sought nearby shelter. Apollonius and Matthias strolled past the necropolis and satisfied themselves that all was secure. They watched the silver bow of the moon follow the sun behind the Mount of Olives. They then returned to Martha and Mary's garden and rested near the lavatory wall. They said little to each other as they listened to the prattle of the assembled throng. They finally agreed they'd take turns sleeping and bade each other good night. Throughout the night, a steady trickle of new arrivals turned the neighborhood into a chaotic campground of sleepy pilgrims. Some built fires in the middle of the street. Others clung to each other between buildings or under trees. By daylight, There wasn't a yard or a doorway unoccupied. Brother Apollonius awakened Matthias shortly before dawn. They quickly stripped and proceeded to bathe themselves from a bucket of cold well water. They could hear Martha and Mary arguing in the house. Suddenly, the lavatory door swung open, and the two found themselves standing naked and shivering before Mary's wrathful glare. Before Mary's wrathful glare. She surveyed them from head to foot and then shook her head. Perfect masters, eh? When you two are through baptizing each other, come in the house and get something to eat. We are told he comes today. We want to do the proper thing. And that's the end of that chapter. It'll get even juicier tomorrow, I guarantee it. Until then, I've got an interview with the wonderful folks at the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic. That'll be later today. I think it'll be 3 something my time. And but that's that. Also, there's other excitement today. A good old friend of ours who lives in Hawaii found this wonderful little film of Caliph Hymenaeus Alpha, or Grady McMurtry, back in 1980, when he paid our lodge a visit. We took him down to the beach, and he filmed Grady doing the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram and Liber Resh for us. Unfortunately, there's no sound, but it's still of a historic and beautiful little snippet. And it's posted right here on my Facebook page, today's Facebook page. So I'm sure many of you will want to see that. But until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. Happy Tuesday.